Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 62 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in Los Angeles, California, joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who right now, if you're watching the video, is drinking tea out of a Star Wars mug, specifically a Darth Vader mug, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, I am not your father, but I am a father, and today's Father's Day, so I have my Darth Vader mug, also known as the worst father in the galaxy. Really horrendous dad. Pretty much killed his parents' mother and then was largely absent from their lives until the last 5 years, in which he tried continually to turn them to the dark side of the Force. He even once threatened his son with his sister's life prior to making everything okay in the final minutes and becoming a Force ghost, and we lived happily ever after until they decided to make sequels to the original one, in which case we don't have that anymore. But he became bad again in Rogue One, and the right universe was back. And happy Father's Day, Ray.
Happy Father's Day, Lee. To you, actually, you are a father. I am.
Twice over.
I am not. But yes, hope that you are having a good day, sir.
Yes, I'm exhausted, Ray. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm
but I'm good. Hey,
too.
We're here. Sorry, let me flip the switch. Whoa! Geeks Who Like Sports with Ray and Lee. This is completely realistic and authentic energy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm actually exhausted, but for very different reasons. But we have a great show for you, despite our exhaustion.
We do.
Despite
Happy
our
Father's Day to all
fatigue.
the fathers out there, real quick. Happy Father's Day. You're listening to this during the week. Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
I should say that. We have a lot of new listeners. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here. I cut off Ray, so back to you.
Yes. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. But yes, we have a great show for you folks today. We got more baseball talk. That's still a mess. We've got basketball talk. We've got a couple other subjects we haven't typically talked about. We've also got some fun news on from Jamie Foxx playing Mike Tyson. That's going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about that.
Ding, dong.
Yeah. We've got news from DC. Some good, some makes no sense. What else is new? New Pokemon news. EA wasted everyone's time last week, and also some price rumors finally for the consoles, for the new consoles. But we're going to kick things off with baseball. Lee and I were talking about this earlier today. We both watched Long Gone Summer from last week, which of course is the 2-hour 30 for 30, the documentary on ESPN about the 1998 home run race between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. That season was very special for a lot of different reasons. But of course, then the record was somewhat tainted by steroids, especially when it was broken only 3 years later by Barry Bonds. But it was an interesting 2 hours, especially if you lived through that time period like Lee and I did. Lee, I want to get your thoughts, though, on this 2-hour documentary from ESPN.
Yeah, well, first off, I brought a little prop. I brought a little Phillies man. This is from the 90s, and I don't know if you at home can see this, but he is super roided out.
Yes.
Just looking at this little action figure guy. So I'll just try to explain. It's about 1.5 inches tall. And just like hulking size.
I was going to say almost 1.5 inches wide, too.
Yeah, it's quite a big. It's one of those little keychain guys, and he looks super roided out. This is probably like a Darren Dalton, I guess, type Philly guy, or Lenny Dykstra. Anyway, it's from a long time ago. My thoughts on the documentary. I had high hopes for this thing. I did enjoy watching it. It was fun to kind of relive that magical season. To paint the picture from my life, I remember I was in middle school. It was the summertime. And this home run race, and I remember that it was just a lot of fun. It was the first time I really woke up to baseball. The Phillies had not been great in my life. So I'd gone to Phillies game, but they were not a serious contender at that time. At that time, it was the Flyers. It was the Eagles were starting to come around. Even the Sixers were pretty good. But I loved watching Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa hit home runs, and it's funny, and Ray, I'll turn this back on you in a minute. I know where I was when he broke the record. I was at Iceline in Westchester, Pennsylvania, getting ready for a practice, and I remember we all came out in the hallway and they had it on the TV, and I watched him do it. And the other side of this, the darker side of this, is that moment I bought a Mark McGwire Cardinals T-shirt. I wore it to my first day of freshman year in high school. And I remember, really loved him. I really loved him, and I'll never forget the moment when the Senate hearings happened about steroids, because it's a big part of the documentary.
Yeah.
And he was on stage, and they asked him, "Have you ever used performance-enhancing drugs?" And I was just like a kid. I remember thinking, "Just tell him you didn't do it, Mark. Like say it ain't so."
Yeah.
Right? And he didn't answer the question the first time, and I remember thinking, well, why won't he answer the question? And then they asked him again, and he didn't answer it. And that was the end of my youth.
Yeah.
A lot of moments around that time period that ended my youth, but I remember it dawned on me, my God, he used them. And then there was, it was a lot of falling out, but the documentary really captured the magic of the time period, and then it ended kind of on the sour note of the steroid scandal.
Yeah.
I thought that the pacing of it was very weird. I felt like it was a little rushed the way they put it together. So again, for those of you who haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. I mean, you know how it ends, right? Like we all knew how it ends. The first hour and a half is just like, here's the home run race, him and Sosa and everything that happened. And then the last 20 minutes is just kind of like steroids.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of how it ended.
Yeah.
And I thought that it did the job, but I thought it didn't challenge itself enough as a documentary to really dive into the time period, the things that happened. It was way too black and white. And now here's the thing. We're living in this post-Last Dance documentary era now that had 10 episodes, 10 hours together. So like every documentary now seems a little bit compacted,
Yes,
which is
true.
weird, but like I said, I don't want to give it I'd probably give it like a C+, B-. I mean, like,
I
it's
think
not
a
something I'm
C+
probably
is
going to
fair.
watch again. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it again.
Yeah.
Like The Last Dance, I could watch that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I think it just fell a little short of having a larger message, but I don't want it to sound like they failed when they made it, because I don't think they did. I just think it could have gone further. You know what I mean?
No, I agree completely. I mean, we talked about this before the show, too, about the setting the stage better for the era,
Yeah.
Still coming off the 97 season, coming into the 98 season. They completely glossed over Ken Griffey, who, you gotta remember, Ken Griffey had one bad month. And again, it also shows how difficult it is to break the home run record. Ken Griffey had one bad month where he only hit, I think, 3 home runs. He still hit 56 for the year.
Yeah.
Like,
it's unbelievable.
and they
without steroids. Without
yes,
steroids. Very
exactly. Yeah,
important to
Ken
mention.
Griffey is one of the few players who we can pretty confidently say from that era did not use them. But I mean, and that too, they also didn't get into the fact too much about the New York Times article that really kind of sank this ship, that it was really still the only smoking gun, the only real piece of information that ever came out against these players, and really kind of tainted the whole era. But 106 players were named on that, including Alex Rodriguez, Jason Giambi, Gary Sheffield, obviously Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Canseco. Yes, but 106 players. That's that's about 20%, a little less than 20% of the league. And that's why a lot of people are arguing. It's like, well, so many guys were using it. Why don't we let them in? That's a whole other topic for another time. But like, they really glossed over that part and when they got to the steroid section, and also all the other great things that were happening in 98 was a special year because of a lot of things. The Cardinals, something they glossed over very, very much because they wanted to focus on.
They definitely glossed over this.
McGwire is that despite all the home runs he hit, the Cardinals were a bad team that year.
Yeah, horrible team. Yeah,
right?
they were horrible. They kind of mentioned it like, oh, they're last place.
Yeah, like the Astros won the division. The Astros were still in the National League at that point. The Astros won the division, and the Cubs on the last game of the season clinched the wild card, which is why Sammy Sosa won the MVP, and I think Kerry Wood was Rookie of the Year. Was basically those two guys basically carried a mediocre Chicago team into the playoffs, where they were eventually they were swept by. I believe the Braves. I'm not sure. It might have been the Astros. I can't remember who. Somebody, actually, no, I think it was the Braves because the Braves lost.
Everybody call the baseball historian police. We need to take care of this, Ray. It's 22 years ago, and you don't remember, Ray.
No,
you don't remember.
I am confident to say right now that the Braves swept the Cubs because then the Padres
you're not
beat the
getting
Astros.
off the hook here.
Because the Padres beat the Astros and the Padres beat the Braves, and of course the Padres lost to the Yankees in the 98 World Series.
Ray, you're acting like I have any clue. All right, I can tell you about the NHL that year. I can tell you who won the Stanley Cup in 1998 if you really want to. I'm not gonna talk about 97, but I'll talk about 98. All right. No, listen. Don't beat yourself up too much about that. But yeah, I totally agree with you that they glossed over that. I know you have even more to go over here. You know, the one thing I want to talk about too about the steroid era, because we've had like 20 years literally to reflect on this now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things like that I pop in my head. You know, when you reflect back on this time period, it's a little different now as an adult. And it's like, you know, one thing I was talking with you about earlier, and I'm talking to you now, the audience, about, is that even with steroids, it's not easy to hit a baseball. It's not easy to hit a home run. So one of the things Ray and I were talking about, now there's no way, this is all hypothetical, there's no way to know this, but it's like Mark McGwire was a home run hitter when he came into the league. He didn't suddenly become a home run hitter. All right. Now I don't know
about that in his youth, that his first career hit was a home run.
A home run. Yeah. And again, I don't know when he started using or what he was using. All right. But the point is that, you know, he was a home run hitter, and you know, it makes me wonder, you know, we talked about this too. All of his home runs were bombs to the upper deck, except for his last one, which Ray pointed out was the shortest one.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to say like he would have broken the record without steroids, because I think that's unfair to say that with everything that's happened. But my point is, you don't hit that many home runs because you're roided up. You have to be a pretty good baseball player to hit that many home runs. It definitely has a performance effect in terms of how far the ball flies. I mean, but that man had one of the sweetest swings of all time, just like Ken Griffey Jr. Same thing with Sosa, Bonds. You know, it harks back to like something that, you know, and this is a different sport, different era. I remember when the Broad Street Bullies, everybody hated the Flyers in the 1970s, said they never would have won if they weren't so tough and beat everybody up. You know, Tony Esposito, who's a well-respected player who played for the Boston Bruins for a long time, he said that you don't win back-to-back Stanley Cups if you're not good at hockey. You know, the Flyers were a very good hockey team. So again, it's so hard to talk about. You don't hit that many home runs if you're not a home run hitter. Keeping in mind, like you said, Ray, 20% of the league was using. They didn't all hit 70 home runs. All right, so there is some majesty here, if you will. It's not ever going to not be a tainted record. We did talk a little bit about Barry Bonds, how they basically ignored him in this documentary Outside One Shot. Yeah. I mean, again, the documentary is not about him, to be fair, but I thought they had an opportunity because I thought he took hell during this time period, which was totally unjust and unfair. I mean, McGwire was loved, Sosa was loved, and Bonds was completely outside of where he played, just completely destroyed. I mean, nobody gave him. They booed him. I remember he wouldn't hit in away stadiums. He wouldn't play as he was approaching the record. You remember that? Which brings up the big point. I'm going to ask this a question to you, Ray, but this is really out there to the gods, the sports gods. Why is it every time baseball has a major milestone record that's this big, they seem to screw it up? They screwed it up with Roger Maris.
Yeah.
They've clearly, I mean, the players and the ownership and the C League screwed it up with this, but they screwed it up with Bonds. Like, it seems like the only records that are kind of safe are pitching records, and nobody really remembers that outside perfect games and no hitters. All right, and it's not as shiny as the home run record. It's like, baseball cannot get out of its own way. And it's incredible to me. It's really incredible to me. That this is happening still, because, and especially with what's going on now, which we're going to tap on for a second. I don't want to blow up like I did last week. I was really pissed off last week, but it's like it can't get out of its own way, and it's supposed to be this pure, magical, beautiful thing, and it cannot get out of its own way, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, it's. And again, even some of the pitching records, like Roger Clemens obviously was later indicted into steroids and stuff. Like, it's like, so like even some of those aren't shiny. The only one that still is kind of untouchable, and it's probably because he didn't use steroids in the steroids era, because he probably would have broke down and got hurt, is Cal Ripken for breaking Lou Gehrig's consecutive game streak record. Like, really, that's it, and goodness knows if it wasn't for him, that baseball would have died even sooner, because that was the year right after the strike. That was 95 when he broke that. Like,
it can't get out of its own way.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's either whether it's the commissioner. I mean, again, Seeley messed things up. Even the commissioner, when he put the asterisk on Maris in 1961. Like, I mean, like, because like,
it was wrong.
It just it's. I don't know. It's just It's just ignorance. It's toxicity. It's stupidity. It's all of those things. And I don't understand. You're seeing it now with baseball, right? You know, speaking of the talk, you know, going to switch subjects here. Speaking of stupidity and toxicity in baseball, 60 games. That's what we might be getting from the baseball season this year. 37. That's 37% of a regular season. That is the latest offer on the table. The owners seem to have finally capitulated and said, we will pay you a prorated salary for the games you play, and you'll get a playoff bonus if you make the playoffs. The players, as we speak, are voting on the 60-game offer from the owners. You know, the players made a big show this week on social media of saying, just tell us where and when to play.
Yeah.
Well, now let's see what happens with this latest offer on the table, because this will be the true telltale sign of their sincerity. But also, and to be fair to them, they also were hesitant about voting so quickly on it because of recent outbreaks down in Florida, where a lot of the facilities are. I'm basically merging two subjects together here. So it was so bad in Florida right now, the Yankees and Mets have decided they're going to go back to New York. Yes, your Phillies, Lee. Your Phillies, the Maple Leafs, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are the three teams amongst two of the major sports that have specifically been called out to have had players get sick. Austin Matthews on the Leafs, several Tampa Bay Lightning, and several Philadelphia Phillies have all gotten the virus, unfortunately. But yes, so speaking of toxicity and speaking of stupidity, A, are we going to have, even if the players agree to this, are we going to have a season? And B, Lee, what are your thoughts on the idea of a 60-game baseball season, which would basically just be August and September?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't go for 80 games. Like, people can probably wrap their heads around 80-plus games like in the NHL and the NBA. It would have made a lot of sense.
To have the season, at least, yeah.
Yeah, again, this is baseball owners. There's too much money being talked about here. I am glad they decided to pay a fair wage. I thought that was a stupid thing that they had done in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Players were never going to go for that. It just didn't make any sense. It's interesting. Like I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I'm kind of fed up with baseball. So I don't want to say I don't care, because it's not that wouldn't be fair. I mean, but it's like we're way past the point of integrity now. You know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. This is going to be one of those asterisk seasons, like you said. No one's ever going to accept the champion as an actual champion. You know, like, they wasted so much time. It's a shame. The whole thing's a shame. You know what I mean? Like, and like, you know what's probably gonna happen is like the Astros will win or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to.
Oh,
I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, and then on top of it, they're going to be competing with the NBA and the NHL and the NFL
and
potentially
the NFL,
too.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the right or wrong thing to do here is. I mean, those of you listening, if you're a baseball fan, let us know. I mean, do you even want baseball at this point? In this way, in this manner, it's just going to have this dark cloud over it the entire time, unless the players put on the greatest short season of all time. 60 games is just not. I mean, it's just not enough. Like I said, I don't know why they didn't just go 82. Again, something people can wrap around. But here's the deal: these guys don't think about stuff like that. They don't think about branding. They don't think about people.
They think about money.
It's an old boys club, and they're thinking about money. And here's the thing: it's not wrong to think about money. It's not a bad thing to think about money. But that's your sole. It's just this. Oh, you can't see inside the dugout because of this. Yeah, it's just that's how it feels. All right, I'm tired of it. I think I was tired of when the NHL did it too. All right, no, it's not just limited to baseball. But the other thing too is, like you said, with this recent breakout of COVID. I mean, it's got me spooked now. It's like, you know, you couldn't even get past a week of training, 2 weeks of training. How the hell are you going to run a season? So I don't want to be negative. I hope it happens still. Austin Matthews is one of the biggest names in the NHL. No idea how these guys get it. Like, that's the other thing too. These guys are supposed to be quarantined. So how the hell did you get it? How did you get it? What did you do to get it? So obviously you guys weren't quarantined. So, you know, like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. We have to talk about it. It's a podcast. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm hoping things move forward, but this week was a setback. Let's put it that way.
Yes. No, this was I agree. This was a huge setback for sports. I think that, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't think 60 games is enough, but I think canceling this. I think canceling the season outright would have done such irreparable damage to baseball. Like, I think having a short season they can overcome. I think if they canceled the 2020 season altogether, especially if the NBA, NHL, and NFL still have their seasons or finish their seasons, and it'll be a black eye on baseball that they would never be able to recover from, because there are people still sore from '94. Like, I mean,
so it already is. It's another black eye. Again, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to feel about it. This is what I'll say. See what the players say. I mean, if they don't accept this, I'm done. I mean, I don't want to talk about baseball anymore. They lost my attention.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean,
I'm very much over this.
Yeah, they could have been. They should have been in a better position about a month ago, where they should be training right now to start the season, not discussing this still.
Yeah.
Again, it's elitism, and it's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not, and it shows again how much the owners, the players, the union, the commissioner are all really just out of touch with the country and everything going on right now. And it really, I mean, and I've said it before, and I hate to boil it down to something as simple as this, but it just looks like millionaires arguing with billionaires, and the common man is the one who gets screwed over. Common fan.
I'm going to say this again. When it comes to the NHL and the NBA and even the NFL, probably, no one's going to look at those leagues and say, hey, at least, they didn't even try. Everyone's going to say, at least they tried. All right? If the NHL doesn't come back and the NBA doesn't come back, people are going to be like, hey, at least they tried. They did try to come back. Yeah. MLB's not going to get that. All right? They're not going to get that kind of love. It's going to be like, you could have came back. You could have done. You're the only sport that socially distances naturally.
Yeah.
And you didn't do it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's really a non-contact sport for the most part. Like, yes, occasionally you have a play at the plate or at second base or something, but most of the time you're all well spaced apart from each other.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, speaking of other sports coming back, other basketball news, both the men's and women's leagues. The WNBA has announced that they are going to do a shortened season as well. Typically, this is when the WNBA season would have started already, but they are going to do a shortened 22-game regular season and then have their regular playoffs. And the NBA has put forward some new things about how exactly they're going to go about quarantining during down in Disney World, and it's actually kind of funny. The teams that are most likely to advance are going to have hotel rooms and be closer to the arenas than the teams that are likely aren't going to stay long and then can go back home. They're also going to be given fancy rings that are going to basically act as kind of like contact tracing. It's going to trace and track where the players are to make sure that should they contract the virus, they're able to, the league and local authorities will be able to track where they were, where they've been with, who they've been in touch with, to again better clamp down on this scenario and to prevent a possible outbreak.
Yeah. So we spoke again a few weeks ago about outside the box thinking. The NBA is doing it completely with how they're going to run their sports, how they're going to run their championship, and these rings, which are said to have the ability to give a 3-day heads up that you might be getting the virus. Assuming the technology works, good for the NBA for trying it. Now, I know the players are going to be uncomfortable with this and that they can't go wherever they want to go, but that's the point.
Yeah.
All right, like that's the point here. Like if you're at Disney, you're focused on basketball and that's it. And like I said, outside the box thinking, finding solutions, making sure you're moving forward. The NBA, which essentially started all this, not really, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
is taking extra. Yeah, is essentially taking the right precautions to bring it back. So, and if that works, I mean, the NHL should be doing this too. Like again, the NHL is always outside the box with their technological thinking. So, again, no one can say they didn't try. This is my point. This is smart.
Yes.
This is smart politics. It's smart branding. It's smart everything. It's also smart for the game, so they can finish their seasons. Again, why isn't baseball doing this? Right? Because this is probably not going to be a one-season solution. All right, this is probably going to have to go on for
at least next
here's
year.
another thing. Here's another thing we're not talking about. Like the next season starts right away.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's we're gonna have like a 3-4 month break to see what happens with the coronavirus. They're done month and they're right back into it. So it's I don't think this is going anywhere. It's just probably something they're gonna have to keep doing. Again, there's a lot of players coming down with it. Where were you guys going? Where have you been?
Yeah.
Austin Matthews looks like an idiot right now. You didn't quarantine, clearly.
Yeah.
All right? And if you did, we're in deep shit. I don't know what to say. If you've been quarantined and got it, we're in deep trouble.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah. No. No. It's. Yeah. I don't know what else to say to that about him, because I mean it's obvious that he had to have been. I mean, especially in Florida where it's becoming a hot spot again. Right.
Yeah, well, that's what the Lightning. A bunch of the Lightning players. This guy's he's in Toronto. Like, where did you get it from? What are you doing? And how come nobody else on your team has it?
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I'm sure that's going to be a documentary in a few years.
No one's asking. Listen, no one's asking him that, and it's kind of like, all right, dude. You know.
Yeah. Somebody.
I don't know Austin Matthews, but
yeah, that's going to come out in a few years. How did Austin Matthews contract COVID-19?
Yeah. I don't
want goodness. Other sports news. This was interesting. I'm not a big horse racing guy. I'm honestly amazed. I don't know why we still have horse racing. Honestly,
we talked about it's money and fancy hats.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But I was flipping through the channels yesterday because we were recording on a Sunday, so this was a Saturday. And I caught the very end of the Belmont Stakes. They ran the Belmont Stakes in New York on Long Island in Belmont. With nobody in attendance. They ran the race. The horse Tis the Law won the race, which is interesting.
Of course.
Yeah. So they're basically they're gonna run the Triple Crown in
the
reverse.
irony of that.
Yeah, I think next they're gonna do the Preakness, and now the Kentucky Derby will be last.
I didn't even see anything about this. I mean, which I'm kind of embarrassed about. I haven't seen anything about this, not even on social media, which is weird because usually it's all over the place.
I just think that because it's without all the hoopla, it's one race, it's one horse race, right?
Yeah, it's just weird, right?
I think it's very weird on social media. I think it's also weird. I think it's also because we're not watching as much. At least I know I'm not watching as much sports channels as often as I used to.
Yeah, like I'm on ESPN right now, and I'm not even seeing anything about it, which is weird. I mean, but you know what happened, so it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. It happened yesterday. Tis the New York bred Tis the Law scripts a storybook win amid the pandemic. That's the headline. And NBC Sports is covering it and all that. It's like, well, NBC Sports has the rights to it, so. But it's just, so that happened.
Congratulations, Tis the Law.
Yeah, so
major sporting event that got very little people watch, which is weird, but yes. Those poor horses.
Yeah, I hope the horses can't get the virus.
Yeah, no, we hope so. Just tigers and dogs.
Yeah, speaking of animals and amidst the pandemic, Chance the Cobra in Vegas is named the NHL's best mascot, according to I don't know who, because I don't know anybody who disagrees that if you're watching the video right now that the mascot that you're now holding in your hand, Lee, a creature known simply as Gritty, how he wasn't voted the best mascot is mind-boggling. I don't know if there's just that many haters out there, but I guess congrats to Chance. I guess, maybe this makes up for that 5-minute major last year, but maybe not. So, yeah. So, again, Philadelphia gets screwed, Lee. Gritty not named mascot, the best mascot in the NHL.
I don't know what this. I mean, I'm shocked. It's rigged. Clearly, Chances on steroids.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, the Vegas fans, I guess, are really into their mascot. They thought that'd be cute. Look, let me put it this way. Gritty came in second, like Philadelphia typically does. This is all I'll say. Everyone knows who the greatest mascot is in hockey. It ain't Chance. It's Gritty. Everyone knows it. Everyone in Philadelphia knows it. And everybody knows the greatest mascot in sports is the Philadelphia Fanatic. So it's a 1-2 punch. If Chance, the snake, wants to come to Philly and find out how we do things here, he's more than welcome to. He'll get Fanatic and Gritty together. There is not only one best mascot, and we don't need a vote from the NHL.com to decide that.
I didn't even know what Chance was until I actually read the full article. I had no idea.
This is the greatest hockey mascot ever created. That's it. Gritty is the best mascot of all time in hockey. Everyone agrees with that. And again, Vegas, you can win a digital online battle. Congratulations. If anyone disagrees with this, please comment below. Let us know.
Well, of
anyone,
course
if
Vegas
anyone thinks Chance is better.
There was no 5-minute majors involved, so of course they won this. So,
I think I think they have a very charged up fan base. To be honest with you, they've been great. The Vegas fan base has been great. Being serious now, and I think that they're very used to being online because they had to vote their team into existence pretty much. And I don't think a lot of Flyers fans care that NHL.com held a vote. To be honest with you, I don't think we need that to show how great Gritty is. That's my honest opinion.
No,
right? And if he won, I would have been like, yeah, of course he won.
Yeah.
So.
And our last hockey story of the day, actually going back to Long Island, the Islanders, who were supposed to play, I believe, next season back at the Nassau Coliseum.
I've been to many times.
They are, once again, the Islanders are without a home. If you haven't watched the Elimination Cafe, Eliminated Indefinitely, Lee and Travis do a terrific joke about...
Go to Brooklyn, go to Nassau, make up your mind already!
Yeah, the Islanders really are a team without a home. And now they literally are once again a team without a home because it looks like Nassau Coliseum, Prokhorov, the owner, I believe it's Prokhorov, is trying to get rid of the Coliseum and trying to unload the $100 million worth of debt that building has. And the Islanders basically... I don't know. They'll go back to Brooklyn for a year until a new facility is built, or
look.
I don't know.
Here's the deal. This is what I'm going to say. They are building a new facility. It's a few years away. That's number one. Nassau Coliseum is a dinosaur. It is the oldest arena in the league, I believe. It was built around the same time as the Spectrum. I've been in there. Again, it's nostalgic and horrible at the same time. It's definitely time for that building to go. Yeah. But it's a dump that has a lot of history. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Like again, to me, it's not comparable, but it's not like Yankee Stadium was a haven in terms of comfortability, and it was a great stadium. It wasn't a dump, but it was it was old and dated. Okay, so this place is too. I gotta say this, and the Islanders have been made fun of. I think it's ridiculous that this is the last team that had a true dynasty in the NHL. It's the last team to actually win 4 cups in a row. No one has done it since. It probably will not ever be done again. They've had some of the greatest players of all time, some of the greatest history of all time. This is ridiculous that they have been kicked around like this. All right, it's like, figure this out. That team deserves a home. They have a hell of a following. All right, this is another team. We always make fun of Pittsburgh. This is a team that had really dark years. The fans kept going. Okay, the team stayed alive. All right, like a decade of bad hockey, and the team stayed alive. Pittsburgh had a couple bad years; they almost went under. All right, so it's like, this is ridiculous. That franchise deserves a lot more respect than it gets. It is not easy to be in the New York metropolitan market when you have 2 other teams that have won Stanley Cups since them. All right, 4 in total, I believe. All right,
and it's like, one for the Rangers,
it's ridiculous. So we made fun of them in the show, but I don't like watching them get jerked around. They have a great fan base. They do, for in the sense of they're very prideful for their team. Okay, I know Ranger fans hate them. I get it. That's a good thing.
It's a rivalry. Though. It's a great rivalry.
And I'm going to say this again. They're the last team in NHL history to win 4 cups in a row, and they are just completely overshadowed by the Oilers, who won 4 cups in 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, or 6 cups in 6 years, 7 years, 7 years. All right. So the again, for those of you who don't know, the Islanders won in 80, 81, 82, 83. The Oilers won 84, 85, 87, 88, and 90. Okay, so 90 was without Wayne Gretzky. All right, it's just it's ridiculous. They deserve better. Build them a new arena. Give them a home that they deserve. This is not a franchise that should be kind of put out to pasture like they've been. It's insulting.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a joke, and the fact that this happened and we saw this amidst everything else that's happening. It's
like they don't need this right now. What are you doing, right?
Like, it's just
it's not like they're playing 100 games here.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be a 1-year thing, and now they don't have any year thing. So
they're going to Brooklyn, where a place that doesn't like them, and it's not built for hockey.
No, it's not.
It is what it is. I mean, they'd be better off playing at MSG at this point.
No, I mean, as sad as it is to say, it is true. It's just they would never be able to work out the schedule with the Rangers, probably. It just
I know, it'd be hilarious if they did that, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're not going to go play at Hofstra You know what I mean? Like, so that's the way it is. They're not going to go play at the Sound Tigers Arena up in Connecticut. It doesn't house enough people, you know?
Well, I was going to say, what would you think about, what if they went to play in Hartford?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, look, the problem is that Hartford's, it's like just out of reach for Islander fans, but it would actually show if Hartford's a viable market. I've been to that arena. It's still there. I mean, again, it's ridiculous that we're talking about this. Like the Lighthouse project, which is 15 years ago now. They were trying to build a new arena. They couldn't get it done. Yeah. It's just they deserve better. That's all I'm going to say. Like my team's a rivalry. The Islanders, Rangers, much more. Even you, Ray, a massive Rangers fans, can admit, like, give these people a home. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's kind of. No, I agree. I agree. It is
give
sad.
These people a home.
And by the way, how many failed projects have we seen in our lifetime between Xanadu, the Lighthouse project? Like, it just why can't the tri-state area get its act together when it comes to building new stadiums?
For those of you who don't know, the East Coast, Xanadu, also known as the American Dream now, is essentially the Mall of America at where the old Giant Stadium used to be in the Meadowlands. And it would, after a 10-year delay, it would open the year of a pandemic where no one is buying the real estate, like the retail space. It's just like you almost want to turn and be like, guys, put it down. Yeah. Just put it down. But it's going to be interesting to see where all this goes. But, I'm going to say it again, just to end this. Just give the Islanders the home they deserve. It is a historic franchise that deserves better. The players, Trottier, Bossy. I mean, it's just you had heroes on this team. Potvin.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Potvin sucks.
What are you doing? I know you had to say it.
I had to say it.
All right, just I mean, Trottier has indigenous background. He's one of the most famous indigenous players ever to play in the NHL. And you just get to glossing over the Hall of Famer Rookie of the Year. What are you doing, guys?
Yeah.
Give them the home they deserve.
Yeah, it's sad. It's very, very sad what's happening there.
Billy Smith. Sorry, if Islander fans are killing, they'll kill me if I don't say Billy Smith, the goaltender from those Cup years.
Right, of course.
Sorry, yes. I had to say it. I had to prove my hockey dem there, and there's plenty of other players on that team that I haven't mentioned.
No, of course. There's a lot of guys you could mention, but it's fine. I think the point has gotten across that the ownership of the Islanders, and they need to wake up. They need to get the heads out of their butts.
There's something. Long Island needs to get it together. It's not just the owners. It's like, give these people a home.
Yeah.
I mean, what more proof do you need that they're going to stay? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I will say this: you start questioning the intelligence of the average Long Islander about what they can do. I mean, like that.
Well, I'm not touching that one.
you start to understand. Well, I mean, they keep messing up because they're Long Islanders.
I can't wait to release this clip on We Live Hockey because we have a lot of Islander fans on there, Ray. So this is going to be
I'll tell them they're all a bunch of idiots. Let's go Rangers. So anyway, moving on to our Gritty Will Protect You League. Let's see. Our final sports story, which kind of also will help us transition into geekdom. This is a fun one. Jamie Foxx is set to play Mike Tyson.
Yes.
In Iron Mike, I believe is the name of the film, which is going to be based on Mike Tyson's life. He'll be playing both young and older Mike Tyson. And dude's getting built, dude's getting ripped. Although he has admitted that he has thinner legs, so he'll have to wear prosthetics to get the thickness of what Tyson in his prime. But Jamie Foxx is a terrific impressionist, a terrific actor, and he we watched the clip before the show. He really seems to have a lot of at least the voice and the mannerisms down. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. This looks like a perfect next project for him. So.
I'm going to talk about both Jamie Foxx and Mike Tyson. I'm going to say this. Jamie Foxx is one of the greatest actors in history and never gets the credit he deserves as one of the greatest actors in history. He has an Oscar for playing Ray.
Ray
the
Charles,
thing is, I think that, he's a musician. I mean, he has done music.
Musician, comedian,
and I think what happened was he started out mostly as a comedian, and I think that, not that that tainted his acting career in any way, but I think people kind of remember him like that. So when you think of comedians that become actors, it's always hard for people to take them somewhat fully serious. I'll give you a good example, like Jim Carrey, right?
Yes.
In fact, the only one that ever really pulled it off fully was Robin Williams. All right, he's the only one. He could play any role. All right, he was one of the greatest actors in the history of mankind, and there's several actresses too. But Jamie Foxx is one of the greatest actors, really, if not the greatest actor right now. I mean, I put him with the DiCaprio level type acting because what he's able to do. So I love that he's playing this role. Number two is the Mike Tyson story is incredible. For those of you that are listening that are younger, I want you to stop listening to the show, which we're never supposed to say, and I want you to go to YouTube, and I want you to look up Mike Tyson knockout highlights. All right, he is the most dominant boxer I have ever seen in my life. All right, his 1-2 uppercut, the most powerful boxer I've ever seen.
Yes.
Nobody knocked people out like this guy, and no steroids.
No.
Like just an anger management problem, that came to fruition, which is why this is probably going to be a good movie. But this is a man who has really turned his life around, and there's a lot of stories here about how he became a boxer. How his manager really kept him level-headed, and when he passed away, Mike lost control, and how he is one of the most caring and loving human beings in the world today, having gone through all that pain. And when you hear him talk today. It's inspiring about how he's able to move on from boxing and even not even think about it most of the time. Although there's lots of rumors that he's coming back, although I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think he's coming back to boxing, but he's doing something with wrestling.
That's fine because he knows he can joke around with that. But I'm going to say it again. He's the most dominant boxer I've ever seen. I mean, it's in terms of just pure power. I've never seen anything like that before or since. And it's a man who deserves to have a movie made. The big question that Ray and I have, and this is really important if you're listening at home, if you haven't perked up yet, is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out going to have a cameo in this film? And if so, will Little Mac be there? I've talked about Little Mac many times on the show as a person who deserves his own 10-part documentary series with all the boxers he defeated in that video game. Obviously, I'm joking, of course, but look, that video game is something that, if you're Ray and I's age, that was a part of your youth. There's no way around it. There's a major part of youth. In fact, I'll put this out there. There's a signed Mike Tyson signed a few of these, like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, with him in the ring. That may be the greatest geek sports collectible of all time. Yeah. Right. And then, of course, let's not forget the great words of Little Mac. Blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Which is exactly what Little Mac would say if he was here.
Yes. If Little Mac was here, yes. But it's and the thing is also Tyson, after Tyson Holyfield, that was to me really the end of boxing as a premier sport. After that, it wasn't a big a deal. That's the last time you had somebody in boxing who was so dynamic and so must watch, right? He was the Jordan of boxing, right? He was the Gretzky of boxing.
Great analogy. Yeah. At the time.
At the time, for sure. It was must watch. You didn't care that you dropped $60 in the pay-per-view and he had a first round knockout because it was such domination. And it just was something
incredible power.
Yeah, and it was you'd never you'd never seen anything like it, and nothing since. And without a personality like that, without a dominating force like that, boxing really kind of fell apart and went by the wayside. As did Tyson's life, unfortunately, for a while. But like Lee said, it's another great comeback story.
Other stories have spawned from his life too. Like you look at Buster Douglas, who's really the first person to beat him. For those of you who don't know, Buster Douglas defeated Mike Tyson. It was one of the best, biggest underdog stories of all time. That's how dominant Tyson was. But Buster Douglas I don't know if a lot of people know this. His mother died a few days before the match, and he told his mother, I'm going to beat Mike Tyson. That's how big of a why this guy had to have to defeat Tyson. You know what I mean? But I'm really looking forward to this. I was glad to hear both that it was being made and that it was Jamie Foxx that was playing him. I'll say that it probably will be an Oscar-worthy, even though I hate the Oscars,
yeah.
but you know what I mean. This isn't
Yes.
a movie award-winning film. I think I'm going to say that from now on. I'm not going to say Oscar-worthy. This is a movie award-winning film.
Yeah.
Okay? It's going to win awards.
There you go. Yes, it'll win some awards. For sure. You know what probably won't win any awards anytime soon? The
Gritty,
DC
because he came in
Gritty-
second place in that stupid mascot thing. That's the dumbest thing
Well,
ever.
that's
I don't need
true,
Gritty.
but-
Why do I need him to protect me when I have steroided out little Philly man?
Yeah, is that Is that Crook? Is that Crook right there?
No, Kruk would have a bigger belly. This is definitely Dykstra, I
Yeah,
think, when you look at him. That's definitely Lenny Dykstra, yeah.
Uh,
He's humongous, this thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. But speaking of not winning awards anytime soon, DC Comics. We're back to those.
Not
guys.
Washington, D.C. DC Comics. What the hell, guys? No, go ahead, Ray.
So a couple of stories from the DC front, and it's actually funny because we actually really love Marvel, but we just don't have a lot of Marvel news to talk about. We like DC too when they don't mess up, but they just keep messing up.
With that said, Marvel, please release something soon. Please.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
We need you right now. We need something. Put something on video. Please.
Oh gosh, but so
I've been rewatching all the MCU films, by the way. I've been watching. You know what I'm doing? Sorry, this is a total sidetrack, Ray. I'm sorry. I've been watching the trilogies as trilogies. So that's not how we did it before. We watched them kind of like in the order they came out in. But I watched like the Captain America trilogy. So the first Avenger, the Winter Soldier, and Civil War. And it's weird because you forget how much those films actually connect with each other.
Yeah.
In hindsight. So like I said, when you're seeing Civil War, you're very much seeing this like after Age of Ultron and whatever came out before it. And it's like when you watch it as Captain America 3, it has a much different connotation on it. And not to mention, there's so much callbacks to like the Winter Soldier and the first Avenger that I appreciate these films even more now. Like, cause but sorry, I had to say that. So like, I'm thinking about doing like, not Iron Man because I did that recently, but I'm thinking about looking at like Thor 1, 2, and 3 and seeing how much it changes, which we know because Ragnarok's a different film. Anyway, after you.
Yeah, no, it's very true that it makes what they pulled off even all the more impressive.
Yeah, they connect.
In the connectivity, but something that DC doesn't know how to do. But with Comic-Con being canceled this year, and understandably so, DC decided they were going to do a virtual event because they have a lot of stuff. They have Wonder Woman coming out next year now. They have got
That's true.
Or later this year because Wonder Woman was supposed to be out.
Snyder Cut. Yeah.
Yeah, the Snyder Cut. They've got HBO Max. They got a lot of stuff to show off.
Batman.
They've got yes. Okay, we'll see what happens with Batman. But they got a lot of.
Batman. That's good.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff. So they're doing on August 22nd their own virtual convention that'll probably be a few hours of announcements of different teams and different projects, and it makes sense. But come on, guys, why? When you who named
I'll tell you
this
why.
stuff?
I'll tell you why. Because PlayStation had the biggest YouTube live video of all time. Now everyone wants to do it. That's why. We could do that too.
It makes sense why they're doing it. But who decided to name it DC FanDome?
FanDome. The Thunderdome.
That's exactly what I thought of. I'm like, it's the Thunderdome.
The DC FanDome. Come on down and see how disorganized we are. I'm Batman. Wait, why are you doing that voice? Swear to me.
Like, who came up with the idea for FanDome? Ali, you hit it on the head. As soon as that was said,
FanDome.
I thought Thunderdome. I'm like, what? 2 fans enter. Only 1 leaves with an advanced DVD copy of the Snyder Cut. Who's gonna get it all? Come down to the FanDome live on
Betamax.
YouTube.
You get a free Betamax of Superman 2, the Donner Cut.
Yeah, it's like
FanDome.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's like, look, I get it. You got to do a virtual
You know what?
event.
I'll be honest with you, man. I'd love to meet the person that named that. So I'm talking right now. I'd love to meet the guy that was in the room like, FanDome. And then the 5 people like, I like it.
Oh,
And
yeah,
who came up with that? Some bigwig at the top came up with that idea after 15 very good ideas. It's probably something like DC Convention or something smart. The big guy's
Yeah.
like, what if we did FanDome? And everybody in the room was like, it's a horrible idea, but yeah, you're the boss. Sure.
Anyway, so that is
FanDome.
so mark that on your calendars. We should get some good news out of that.
Watch this one work, by the way. Watch this thing actually work because it has a stupid name.
I know.
Watch this one be the one that they figured it out.
Yeah.
Special guest Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
What?
Oh goodness.
Michelle
some of the
Pfeiffer,
other things
ladies
that
and
they
gentlemen.
could talk about, like Lee mentioned, this the Snyder Cut. We got a glimpse at the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
This
it was
week.
good too.
Yeah, it did. I mean, look, here's the thing. It's what we all have been clamoring for. It hints at dark side. It's what we.
So let's just really quick for the listeners who may not be huge DC fans. Dark Side is the Thanos of the DC universe. In fact, they are essentially exactly the same person. They're both purple. It's really weird, but they both have stupid chins. But Dark Side is Thanos. He's that big level of an event. They were leading towards Dark Side in Batman vs. Superman. Supposedly is supposed to be in Justice League. They failed miserably at that. I guess they thought their audience couldn't handle it.
Well, Josh Whedon cut it all out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very weird. Okay, and it was one of those things of like, this is the greatest Superman villain we've never seen in cinema. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's a very important villain. So I just wanted to paint the picture of like. This would be like if they teased Thanos like they did in all the Avengers movies and then just didn't use him.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, here's the children of Thanos instead.
Yeah.
And they just walked around the screen.
Here's Ebony
You
Maw
can't stop. Yeah. We must talk to Mother.
Yeah.
What were they doing? Anyway, the teaser we got was Wonder Woman looking at something, and you have Lex Luthor's voiceover of he's coming, and the bell's been rung. God is dead. And then it's Dark Side, which is like, was it so freaking hard for you to do that?
Yeah.
That was a 10-second clip. 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Why? So I'm looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I think it's going to be good.
I think it'll be good, and then the question becomes, what do they do with it after that?
Sure. Look, there's every reason to believe that Snyder's trying to reboot that cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And like if we learn anything in film, you never know. Like they could totally get Batfleck back. Okay.
Yep.
Like again, like I didn't think. How do I say this? It's like those films were a foul ball that almost was a home run. I think that's just how I look at it. It's just like they just kept hitting these foul ball home runs. It was really close. I've said this before. I was a huge fan of Man of Steel. I really had no problem with it. Another rumor, Ray. I don't know if you know this or not. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. He plays Negan. He's the comedian in The Watchmen.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yes. Yeah.
I gotta look it up now.
Think of his
Okay,
name
I'm doing it live on the air. I don't care because I need to get this right because it's got one of those triple names and I can't remember it right now. Hold on.
No,
so I'm
he's a
gonna
fantastic
explain.
actor. Like you said, he was Negan in The Walking Dead. Like, and him as the comedian was absolutely terrific.
Yes.
As I stall for time for Lee to look this up.
I really appreciate it. I'm looking it up and I still can't find it. This is killing me. So let me just okay, people at home. I'm literally going to IMDb right now. There it is. The Watchmen. Dude, you know how many films are named The Watchmen? This is really ridiculous. I can't find it on here. This isn't okay. I'm going to The Walking Dead.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Thank you, man. Jeez, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So Ray, everyone apparently forgot this. Okay, he also plays Batman's father in this DCU.
Oh,
he is Thomas Wayne, and I heard today, this is going to excite you. You haven't heard this. I just realized this. I heard today that they're making a Flashpoint film with Ezra,
with him as Thomas Wayne.
With him as Thomas Wayne as Batman.
That's perfect. That's
so
perfect.
They're doing a
casting.
Flashpoint storyline. Yeah, and he would, yes. So they said he would be down for that role of playing the Thomas Wayne Batman. For those of you who don't know, again, we talked about this, is a much, much darker Batman that kills everyone.
Oh yeah,
right?
He uses guns.
So,
he's real. He's
now here's the thing. This is what I thought, Rick. This is what I thought. That's a freaking Batman film I'd want to see.
Yeah.
That's the Batman film I'd want to see. So it's like, and then I realized like maybe DC has a heartbeat. It's like Superman when he dies, it's like dum dum, and you have to wait a minute for the next heartbeat because that's how Kryptonians' hearts work. They don't actually have to bring them back to life using these little orb things in a river on a ship in a movie and have Flash running at the exact same moment so that Kal-El, remember who you are. Like that doesn't have to happen that way, but it's going to have to happen that way because they still have to bring him back from the dead in Justice League because he's dead. But hopefully he won't have that stupid mustache thing.
Yeah, I mean,
these are
I'm
not
really
conversations we
curious to
have
see-
with the MCU. We don't have these conversations with the MCU.
No, exactly. That's why. That's the thing. We're constantly talking about DC because DC's constantly having to fix so many mistakes. Marvel has made so few mistakes that they're just kind of like, so when do we want to pull the trigger on Black Widow? We can wait a little while longer. Okay.
DC is that scene in Justice League where they're trying to bring Clark back, where like all of them are like, Cyborg can't control his weapons, he's screwing up. Aquaman's there and still somehow irrelevant. Flash is a dork, and then you got Wonder Woman who like uses the lasso. She's like, Kal-El, remember who you are, the last son of Krypton. Like that's what I feel like this is like. It's like DC, remember who you are, the original comic book factory, right? And then and then Batman shows up. The world needs you, but does it need you? Tell me, do you bleed? Look at my fake mustache that's not there. What the? I can't get over that. Sorry, the mustache thing still bugs me. I can't watch that film. Anyway, Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut looks great.
But yeah, no, we're excited about the Snyder Cut. Other things that DC might talk about on August 22nd is, now for those of you from the mid-90s, you might understand this, DC Milestone. This was an imprint put together by Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, and several others. It was more geared towards black representation in comic books, which for a long time hasn't been a lot of representation. So you had characters created like Icon and Hardware, and of course probably the most famous from that brand, Static Shock, who has come back into the main DC universe several times. He also had his own very, 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 very successful cartoon starring Phil Lamar.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah. You basically
that was important for us to see in the 90s too. I should say that.
Yes.
That was the first cartoon of its type.
Yeah, no, it was the first time you really had a black representation in animation and in comics. I mean, yes, you had black comic book characters obviously before Green Lantern, John Stewart, War Machine, obviously at Marvel, but never Storm, of course, Black Panther, but very rarely did you have such a spotlight really shown on it in an entire imprint, and. So this was something that had been kicked around for a while, and this because had probably heard about this a few years ago. DC was looking to bring the Milestone imprint back, but because of countless politics and infighting and BS within DC, because they can never get their act together, they kind of got put on the shelf. Well, finally, because of the rise of prominence in the Black Lives Matter movement, in the
world around us.
Yes, needing again, representation matters again. I mean, it's always mattered, but it matters just particularly more so now, and it's really having a light shown on it. So DC finally again has announced that they are trying to get the return to the Milestone imprint back on track, which is a good thing. It's something they needed to do. It's sad that it took all of this going on around us for them to get their heads out of their butts once again. But
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think this is a great thing that if we can get Static Shock back, we can get Icon, we can get these guys back. And I'm just naming the top few. There were literally a dozen characters in this imprint. These are probably the top three that most people will probably recognize. I think this is a good thing, and I think I think that like Lee said, DC might have a heartbeat. Maybe.
Yeah, look, from volcanoes come change and comes land. And, look, there's a lot of good things happening right now, and there's a lot of bad things happening right now. I put this one of the good things because this is something that could actually really impact people moving forward and really have a positive impact. There are some changes that are happening now globally or in America that are kind of like, well, that should have happened a long time ago. There's other changes that are just on the ridiculous level, all right? I don't know how else to explain that, but I'm not going to say any because it's for each one of us to judge those on their own. All right, but I will say that this move by DC is something good. This is what we're saying. DC is like Scott Pilgrim. They got an extra life. Don't ruin it. But they will.
Yeah.
They will. They will probably mess this up. But like DC, we need you. We need you. You know, Ray, there was an article out the other day about how this is not a good time for Superman for some reason. And I was reading this, and I was like, man, this is exactly when we need Superman. Superman is exactly who we need right now, okay? Batman is a great character, but, like, this is the time period we need that hero. We need that person to look up to.
We need
something to strive for. Yeah, exactly, right? And it's like, it's not there. And then people are saying we don't need that. And so we absolutely need a Superman right now. So DC, this is the one thing that Marvel does not have. Marvel has never had a Superman. Okay, they never have the pure character, and that's it. Please get it right. DC, you've always had a good dark character, but you have Superman. Use him, please, and all these other characters.
Marvel's got plenty of dark characters too. You have the one shining light that represents all the good potential of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's something that they really need to lean into right now. But I agree with you. The fact that people were saying this is a bad time for Superman.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Is
perfect time.
Incorrect. Yes.
They're saying he's too good. You can save them, Kyle. You can save all of them.
Yes. You know what else this is a perfect time for? New Pokemon!
No. Yeah!
Okay, so that wasn't my best transition, but like
well, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Pikachu! We got a lot. We're going to get a lot of video game news happened this week. A lot of good stuff. There was a big Pokemon Direct. They announced some smaller games, some mobile games, including Pokemon Smile, which is to help your kids learn how to brush their teeth properly. And also Pokemon Cafe, which is a puzzle game that'll be coming out next week. But the big one that really kind of the internet blew up for 12 hours, it's a game that came out in the N64. It is called they announced a new Pokemon Snap. They showed off a little bit of it. Yes, you go around instead of capturing Pokemon, you kind of just go onto like a wild safari and you take pictures of them in their habitat. You give them fruit. Lee has he has himself a digital camera there to take the pictures.
4 times optical zoom.
But it was a bit of a cult classic on the N64. Really, when Pokemon was really just starting to take off as a phenomenon, right? Not just as a great game, but actually as a phenomenon. And it just so for this to come back, it's a key part of people's childhoods. The idea, of course, is you can add Pokemon now via DLC. How will it connect with? Will it connect with Pokemon Go or Pokemon Home or other features? It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this, because Pokemon has grown so much beyond that first generation of games that for them to bring this back now at this point, I now would also like to ask for Pokemon Pinball to come back and Pokemon, the card game, video game to come back, and for all that stuff to come back, Pokemon Company, if you guys are working on that, just saying. But this was a big deal for Pokemon fans everywhere, Pokemon Snap to get reannounced.
Such a geek, Ray, and I love that about you. So, Pokemon Snap was as you said, cult class. It's another one of those, like, Nintendo tried something. They thought outside the box, and it completely worked. So you did a great job explaining the game. Again, it's just you taking pictures of Pokemon instead of collecting them. What I'm excited about is that they have the opportunity with the Switch to really get some incredible landscapes and really make this something special. That's the one thing that Pokemon Go, the game that I play and Ray play a lot, just can't have for obvious reasons. But like, if you could have the different regions and really travel to the different regions and really immerse yourself in that, not to mention there is something majestic about just taking photographs and then the ability to share those photographs. That's going to be obvious. I think that's a big part of this game that they haven't. You couldn't do that on N64. I mean, you could kind of save them on the N64 and share your friends.
You could actually save them and then bring them to Blockbuster Video and print out your pictures.
There you go. Right. That's not going to happen.
We're way beyond that now, folks.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the ability to share and like they have to have built some things in this game where you can get some unbelievable photographs. So this is how I look at it, because I know some people are like, well, it's just taking photographs. It's no different than catching them. It's no different than catching the Pokemons. Right? It's just you're just taking photos instead, and it's fun. So good on them for doing it. There was a massive amount of excitement about it coming back. The trailer was actually pretty great. The trailer was great because it said nothing. Just showed you Pokemon Snap. Here it is. Yep. You know it. You like it. You're going to buy it. So, yeah, and then, I'm interested to see this stuff. Pokemon does it right, man. They get it. They do. They
definitely do get it. Although our next Pokemon story shows they might not get it, actually. The Pokemon Go League. We mentioned Pokemon Go. So the Battle League has rankings, and if you're like me, you're at a point on one of your most recent quests where you have to battle 15 people, and typically this is an easy thing. But for the past week, Pokemon Go turned off the Battle League, and so I do this thing that enough people don't do. That I use the Google machine, and I'm like, why is Pokemon Go Battle League?
Google machine.
Yeah,
you mean like Yahoo and Bing?
Yeah, no. You could use you could probably use those too. The point is that I did a little bit of research and find out that the top-ranked player in Pokemon Go in the world, the reason why he did that is he found a glitch in the game. And he basically cheesed it, and that's how he got to the top. So in order to fix and close this loophole, they completely shut down the battle aspect of Pokemon Go the past week, and they are still hard at work on it. And now fans, of course, are, and rightfully so, I believe, demanding that this top player have his status, have him removed from the leaderboards, basically, and have him have to start over and redo it just like everybody else has to, so...
well, I'm sure that's what's going to happen, or they're going to figure out another way around it. Do you know what the glitch was, by chance?
Yes, so basically, he found that with certain Pokemon, that when they are doing the animation for their charged attack, that if he tapped a certain way, it kept charging, and he would basically get 3 or 4 times as many charged moves a battle than you're supposed to. And basically, if you've played Pokemon Go, knowing having charged attacks and having quickly charging charged attacks is basically the difference most of the times between winning and losing. Unless you really have... Yeah, exactly, because of the shields, and so unless you have a really bad type advantage. But if not, this is the difference between winning and losing. He basically, he climbed to the top of the leaderboards in a quarter of the amount of battles as the guy who was in second place. And then it's when they realized that, they looked at his hit record, and he was getting 8 to 10 charge moves a battle.
Okay, did he cheat? Or did he manipulate the system? Because now this brings up a thing. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't do anything really wrong.
He found, that's why they had to shut it down, right? Is that he found a loophole, basically, that he took advantage of, right? So no, he's not technically a cheater as much as he found a bug in the system that literally millions of other people had not.
Which is weird, when you think about it. If it wasn't him, it was somebody else, right?
It would have happened sooner or later, yeah.
Yeah, so listen, Pokemon Go has really weathered the storm. I'm willing to give them a free pass on this because they've really done a lot of changes to that game with coronavirus and everything. A game that relies on you mingling with other people and getting out of the house. They've done enough, even though not all of it was perfect, they've done a lot to try and make this game playable. And some things they've done are better than others, but, look, if they're trying to get it right, that's all we can ask for. DC does not do that, so this is what I'm trying to...
Yeah, no, Pokemon did the right thing by shutting things down and are now going to fix things.
So if you go to battle right now, what happens?
It just says the Pokemon Battle League is down. Please come back, try again later.
So you don't see that when you go to battle?
No, so you have that, but then press the battle button.
I'm going to battle in the Ultra League. Let's see what happens. Okay. The Go League is not available right now. Please try again later.
Right,
so I should have lied. I should have lied, but like, well, I'm battling, Ray. I don't know.
I would have ended the podcast right now to go back to battle.
Right. And you know what happened? Now I'm stuck getting a damn Bidoof. That's what my life is right now. Come here, Bidoof.
Well,
okay, I'm gonna just transfer
not on
him
me.
right away.
It's not on me.
No. But you're if you were a Pokemon, you might be Bidoof. I'm just gonna say that. Not Mahomes. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So that's it from the Pokemon Go League. Other big game news this week. We had some announcements. EA Play was this past Thursday, and let me tell you, folks, EA Play was a waste of time. They announced a couple of indie games. Hey, Madden's still coming. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
What?
No. They showed off some more gameplay of Star Wars Squadrons, which was really the only highlight of the show. Star Wars Squadrons, by the way.
Which wasn't the last thing, by the way. Like, that was not the big ending reveal.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, I was super excited for Star Wars Squadrons. That looks really, really good. It was so good, I actually went back to Star Wars Battlefront 2 just to get some Star Wars action in. And I'll say this, it's a shame. I give them credit where it's due. They really fixed that game. Like, it took them, about a year and a half to get there. And the community, obviously, there's very few people playing it now because of that. But they really did go back and fix that game. And hopefully the lessons they learned with Star Wars Battlefront 2 will carry over to Star Wars Squadrons, i.e., and it sounds like this is the case. No crazy amount, no loot boxes beyond cosmetics, no weird buying to get past the grind of leveling up. There's going to be a story. There's going to be multiplayer. It's going to be self-contained. The only question really now is with Star Wars Squadrons, which takes place after Return of the Jedi, by the way, which is such a great time period. I'm super excited for this. Is how does it handle? Because I also playing Battlefront 2. I can tell you this. The space combat in Battlefront 2 sucked. Did not handle very well.
Could you skip it in that game, or did you have to play it?
In Battlefront 2, you could, if you did the campaign, there were some missions I think that you had to do it. But if you were playing multiplayer, you didn't have to do that. That was
let's ask this for the listeners: is buying Battlefront 2 a good option right now in its current state?
The only thing that I worry about is it's such a multiplayer heavy game, is that there's not a lot of people still playing it.
Is the story worth it? How about that? So let's just say I was going to get it, because I didn't get it because I was told that that.
No, the story's not worth it.
Well, there you go.
No, I didn't think the Eden Versio story was, although well acted by Janina, I can't say her last name, Gavankar, I believe. I'm probably butchering that. I'm so sorry. But it was acted as best as she could, but it was not well written. It was not a deep enough Star Wars story that like somebody like Yuli would be able to. You would be like, this is child's play. This was written by.
So not Fallen Order. Got it.
Yes. Yeah, I would not worry. You're not missing anything. Go read the wiki. You'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, even right now at its super cheap state, I would not bother with Battlefront 2 if I was only going to play the story. But
we said this once before actually, but this because that came out before our show started. Why EA? Why they made a Star Wars game without a story when you are owned by the biggest storytellers on the planet? I never understood that. Well, no, we're going to make a game for online. It'll be like Battlefront. I mean, it'll be like
Battlefield.
Yeah. It's like no. But this is Star Wars. It has to have a story. Does it though? Yes. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that EA with Fallen Order, started with Fallen Order, that they too have learned their lessons. Squadrons is going to be a big test for them.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now, this is either going to be like top 5 game of the year, or this is going to be terrible. There's not going to be much wiggle room, I think, with this one.
That's fair. Yeah, it looks good. The trailer looks good. We'll see what happens. We said the same thing about Battlefront 2, though.
Yes.
But let's just talk about this EA Play event. So first things first is the way it was hosted, and I don't want to rip on the host because he was doing what he had to do. It was just written poorly. It was very much, how do I say this? Just, hey, everybody, it's me, the 90 TV host, and I want to talk to you today about video games. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why is this happening? Like, one of the things that was so brilliant about the PlayStation reveal was it didn't have any of that. It was just, here's the game, here's the creator. Here's the game, here's the creator. We know you don't have a lot of time. All right, it just wasn't like, oh, here's a secret letter. It's just I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It was very. I think I missed the mark. Let me put it that way. We weren't tuning in for that.
Completely.
Okay, we weren't tuning in for that.
And I know Greg Miller. I know Greg personally. Greg's a great guy.
Yeah.
But I agree that I think that with especially with the way things are going right now, this was not what people want. Most people
like, what are you
wanted
doing?
to see or needed to see. And I think that I think you said it. You said it perfectly, Lee. I think that part of it missed the mark. But I think it's also the thing is that EA really didn't have a lot to show.
Yeah.
And I think that they were really just trying to fill up some time and trying to make it look bigger and grander than it actually was. I mean, and here's the big thing. Their big reveal at the end, talking about not having anything to show, they had two developers be like, we're doing it. We're doing Skate 4. We know this is a skating game franchise that you guys have wanted for years. You've been tweeting at us for a decade. We're doing it. And everybody's like, okay, cool. So where's the gameplay footage? She's like, we're doing it. We're gonna make Skate 4. We're gonna do it. And we got
Let me paint a picture here, okay? This is like you're watching a Marvel film, and it's done, and you got the mid-credit scene, and the mid-credit scene is Squadrons, and you get to the end of the movie, and you're like, okay, here comes the big tease for the next MCU movie. And it's just like, you get a director like, hey, we're making another Avengers film.
Yeah, it's a screen of text just saying Captain America will return or Iron Man will return.
Like, what? What are you doing? Where's the film though? It's like we're making it because you wanted it. Well, that's great. I mean, But do you have anything to show us? We're doing it. It's just like, what was that? Anyway, I saw that. I called Ray right away. I was like, man, I thought that was. Talk about missing a bullseye.
Yeah.
Squadrons should have been the last thing.
Yeah, if you didn't have anything to show of Skate.
No NHL, no NBA, just nothing else. No,
yeah.
It's, even the Madden one was
just okay. They showed FIFA, they showed Madden.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's
which by the way, it's ridiculous in a time period where there's no sports. That could have been a big deal.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very possible they're not ready yet, and I respect that. I do.
Well, I hope they'll be ready soon because Madden comes out in 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's a good point too. This was a chance. It's you could have done no sports. I mean, think about that right now. Like they could have done something really meaningful. Think about this. I'm going to paint the picture. This is because I'm a marketer, right? They could have done a Nike-esque ad where all the stadiums are empty. Right, I'm painting the picture here, Ray, and sports aren't around right now, and then it doesn't matter how you do this. At the end of it, all you hear is EA Sports, right? It just comes on, it's in the game, and then all of a sudden it's Madden, NHL, NBA, blah 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 blah. Game on, boom.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also like you bring up the good point. A lot of years, EA does a huge section dedicated to sports.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and I don't blame, and I understand this. Most of the time, they do get bad reception for that because there are a lot of video gamers out there who aren't necessarily into sports games. But to your point, this year, more than any other year, this was the year, at least for me, I really wanted to see more about Madden. I really wanted to see FIFA. Like,
the thing is, they even did that EA Sports is in the game thing, which I haven't heard them do in a long time. It was the 90s one. It was just EA Sports. It's in the game. I was like, that is so needed right now. Anyway, I give it a D+.
Yeah, I mean, I would just give it a solid D. Like, it just fell flat on
it only gets the
aside
plus
from Star
Squadrons.
Wars.
Yeah, it's
I mean, that's why I don't give it a straight up F. Is really the 2 minutes to Star Wars. That's it.
It's like it's just one of those things, man. It's just like it's lazy. It's just lazily put together. And like I said, again, I love the backstories. I would have loved to be in the PlayStation room and listen, we're not going to do any hosting. We're not going to do anything. It's just going to be a game trailer, and maybe once in a while we'll have the game developer, which is really the people want to hear from anyway, up on the screen. Yeah. That's it. Most watched live thing ever in history of YouTube, right? And I had to go watch early 2000s game TV hosting. Come on, guys, do better. Yeah. Stop being so lazy. It was lazy.
It's lazy and it's out of touch. Again, it goes back to what we were saying before about DC, EA. So we talked about this last week, where DC is looking to sell Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, which is their video game division. They should sell them to EA because it'd be an easy transition for Warner Brothers because it's two companies that are just so out of touch and don't understand their fan bases right now.
Well, they don't care.
Well, that's the other thing, too.
They've done nothing to show me that
they know you slap Star Wars on something, they're going to buy it. You slap Batman on it, they're going to buy it. Stop buying stuff, folks. Exactly. Until if something is bad, stop buying it. So, speaking of Star Wars, though, one good thing, one good thing, and this is, and funny enough, being done by Warner Brothers because they do all the Lego games. Later this year, the Lego Skywalker Saga is coming out, which is all 9 Star Wars films in Lego form. They've done this before, usually by trilogies, but now at all 9 films out there, they're putting all 9 out there at once as one massive Lego game. And also, and this was actually a really fascinating story, they are also inserting special game codes into 10 Lego sets based on Star Wars that will help you unlock extra content in the game. And I think that this is actually a terrific idea. If you love Legos, you love games, if you love all that stuff, and the Lego games are especially for a family are terrific, terrific co-op games, terrific games to play with your kids. This is a great package deal, I think.
Ray, do you know what this means?
You have to buy Lego Skywalker Saga and all the Lego sets?
No, that was probably going to happen regardless. But do you know what this means?
What?
It means in Lego video game form, episodes 7, 8, and 9 will actually make sense.
Yes, because they'll probably smooth out a lot of the awkwardness.
Yeah, they can do it now. So looking forward to it. It's a great move. Lego Star Wars is one of the best games ever made, and it's not taken seriously, which makes it all the better. And here's the thing: people are gonna roll their eyes like, "Oh, more Lego," and then they'll show the trailer, and it's like, "Damn it, I have to buy that."
Yeah.
And my son's super into Legos, so I mean, I have to buy it, Ray. I'm gonna have to get it because of my son, because he likes it, not because I like it.
Right, because of
I gotta get. I'm gonna have to. My hands are tied. He's gonna have to find a way to earn it, and he's gonna earn it. If you know what I'm trying to say, he'll find a way, and then we'll get it. Okay.
There you go. Oh man. Yeah, he drinks from his Vader mug. Other things that as we so the episode will air probably either right before or right after this, but it leaked on Friday. Crash Bandicoot 4 is happening.
Oh my God!
And it's called Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Because
It leaked.
It leaked, yes, because we talk about this actually. Sometimes these leaks are on purpose.
It leaked, yes.
Because it's a way to dominate a news cycle for multiple days. You don't just get
leaked.
Right. You don't just get the excitement of the announce. You get the excitement of a leak. Then you get the excitement of the first trailer. Then you get the excitement of the second trailer. It helps to dominate a news cycle. And at a time where EA really kind of left the news cycle wide open with their dearth of content. I believe it's Activision. Activision was like, Crash Bandicoot 4, bloop. Now, of course, I don't know for sure if this was a leak. I mean, sometimes it is legit leaks.
We don't. Well, it's like you talk about the Squadrons, right? Like Squadrons leaked, and Ray said it best. He's like, either that was completely planned, which is like the way it was done is perfect, or some idiot in the marketing department just forgot to change the date on the release of the thing that came up on Xbox Live. So. Either way, it's Crash Bandicoot's a great series, and it's fun to play, and I'm glad to hear it's coming back. I mean that.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with the remasters, with the trilogy. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great for a new generation, and it's about time. Like the game title says, it's about time. Our last story of the day, which is a huge one, if it's true. And the thing is, this is gonna happen until this is solidified by Microsoft and Sony, but we're really starting to hear a lot of different rumors from so-called insiders about what the price tags are for the PS5 and the Xbox X. So That time you were good. You were good. You were ready for it.
It's because I'm being watched, Ray.
By Gritty. The PS5, and if this is true, would be very solid. The rumor is the PS5 with a disc drive would be $500. The one without a disc drive, the digital only one, would be $400. Which already you're basically saying to me, this is the game industry way of kind of trying to start pushing physical out.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart.
Yes, it's a smart way. You still give people the option, and you probably take a small financial hit for this generation as you continue.
If only
to
there was a
produce
company
games.
that forced people to upgrade. That I can't think of one right now, but if only there was a company that was like, oh, if you don't get this upgrade, it's good. Oh, Apple does that all the time.
As he holds up his iPhone, yes.
Yeah. No, it's a smart move. It's a good price.
It is a very smart move, but more shocking if there's any truth to this, which it's hard for me to imagine that this is even fiscally possible for Microsoft to do this. I really think that they're going to come in more at what the rumored Sony price point is, where it's similar. Where it's $500 for physical media version and $400 for digital only. But one rumor that came out yesterday is that Microsoft is going to do their physical version at $400, and that their digital version would only be $200.
Wow.
I'm going to say this. I don't know if they can pull it off. I don't know if they can get the components cheap enough. I don't know if the systems will work at launch. But if you're selling your digital-only version for $200, you are going to have such a head start. Again, I take this with a huge grain of salt, folks. I don't believe it's possible. But to the people who were reporting on it, True Achievements, one of the bigger Xbox sites out there, I think that if this happens, if this is true, even if it's $300.
Now, how much is Switch?
I think the Switch right now is $300.
It's possible. I'll put it that way now.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if Nintendo can do it, you wonder
possible.
if Microsoft can do it.
Well, here's the deal, too.
Especially with especially as the digital-only version.
If Microsoft does this, PlayStation will immediately match it. That's the other thing, too. They're going to have to, or they're going to have to tout themselves as, well, our stuff's just better. And that's not going to fly.
It's not going to fly because on paper, if you look at the stats, PlayStation 5 is not as strong as Xbox X. This is
the deal, is that when these companies compete, we win. So if Xbox does this, PlayStation will come down too. Now, with that said, $400 to $500 is very pricey. It is a 10-year purchase if you think about it now, the way these generations work.
7, 8, and that's the thing. Like PS4 and Xbox One was $500, PS4 was $400. The Xbox One was only a little more pricey because it came with the Kinect, which obviously Microsoft has abandoned at this point. When they did the Kinect with the version without the Kinect, it went down to $400. So
so look, when you think about what you're getting a high-powered computer for. It's not it's expensive. It's not unreasonable when you look at it over a 7-year to 10-year period.
Not like the $600 PS3.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, Ray, and I'll tell you how they could do this. All right, because it's really not about the system. It never has been. It's about the games.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So the way you market that is it's $200. You're gonna get games. You're going to buy 5 games when you buy this thing now because you saved $200.
Yeah.
All right, and we're going to get our money right back. I mean, because here's the thing. An average gamer will spend more than $400 on games.
Yes.
In their system's lifetimes, and they know that.
Yeah.
It's the games that are valuable. So if they come out with a better quality game system, or, I mean, think about this. I mean, even if they lowered, games are $60 right now. I mean, so that's how you make your money. Is that you go digital only? It's $200. And here's the deal: at launch, within 2 months, if you buy 5 games, we'll give you X, Y, and Z. It's just marketing. It could totally work.
No, for sure. I mean,
that's what they used to do back in the day. You used to get a game with the system. You'd buy the system, you get a game.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is that like you're not making money on the systems. You're making money on the software. You're hoping that people will buy even the average gamer, 5 games a year for the next 7 to 8 years, right? And then you got guys like me who buy 50 games a year for the next 7 or 8 years. It's a lot of games. But
I do want to take a real quick side note to congratulate you on you get a 250,000 gamer score right now. Is that true?
250,000. Yes, I cracked 200. I'm at 250,140 now. I cracked 250,000 gamer score yesterday.
That is an accomplishment in gaming. For those of you who don't know, Ray is too humble to say something about it, so I'm going to say it. I made a note of that when I saw it. That is a big deal that he's up there. Not many people get to that score.
Thank you.
So it's a big deal that he's there. I also gladly commented on his post yelling "nerd."
Yeah.
but no, in all seriousness, Ray, that's a pretty big accomplishment for someone in your industry.
Thank you. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's something I've been striving forward to. It's something at the beginning of the year. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. By the way, I wanted to hit. I was at 238,000 at the beginning of the year, and I was confident I would hit it by the end of the year, not knowing that coronavirus would help me out, because suddenly I had a lot more time to sit around and play games. So I hit it. I was anticipating hitting it in November. I ended up hitting it in June instead. I bought more games. I went back into my backlog. I did some more
Nerd.
stuff. Yeah, I know.
Nerd. I'm just kidding. It's a big deal.
I know,
it's a big deal.
But
someone would call you a geek.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's a geek who likes sports.
Some people would say.
Yes. I went back to old Maddens. I grinded for old achievements. That's how I did it actually in Forza Horizon 4, where I got, because they had just put out a new update. That plus Disintegration, which came out last week, which is not a good game. Do not buy Disintegration. But I streamed it on my Twitch channel. I streamed the whole campaign across 4 days, and it was not good. I would give it a 5 out of 10, 5.5. So very meh, not terrible, but like they had some really great, interesting ideas that didn't unfortunately pan out, and also a very bland story.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But your story of a 250,000 gamer score is very important and very big, and I wanted people to know that you don't want to take this man on. I mean, it's a milestone, dude. It's a big deal, and I want it to be recognized on this show today, Father's Day, 2020. Coronavirus Ray.
Thank you. I mean, obviously there are people out there with higher gamer scores and whatnot, but like for me, it was a big deal to get there, and it is, and not to toot my own horn, it is not a common gamer score. It's not common that people reach that mark. So,
you know what I'm gonna do, Ray, for you?
What?
Because you do this, I'm gonna take you to the DC FanDome. Been waiting the whole show to do that.
Oh man!
Faced off other gamers with above a 250,000 score. FanDome.
So let us know below what would you guys pay for an Xbox X or a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 5. Do you put any validity into the rumors? What do you guys think? Let us know below. And finally, now we go into our mashup, which is, of course, our final segment of the show. Lee came up with this before the show, and it's a good one, so we're going to run with it. But we talked about at the very beginning of the show, sports records and baseball records. What record do you wish in sports was untainted? Because there's a lot of records, not just in baseball, that have been tainted by a variety of scandals.
Yes.
So which record do you wish was not had an asterisk next to it, or
we do need to clarify one thing. We didn't talk about this before. So is this something that's tainted because of something like steroids, or is it tainted like Roger Maris got an asterisk because the commissioner of baseball was a dick at the time?
I think it's either or, because like I already
fair enough.
Because mine is
You go first. I'm going to go first.
Mine is Pete Rose with the all-time hits record.
It's a very good one.
Like
I have a different one, but that definitely is probably mine. Could be 1 or 2 on my list. Let me put it that way. That's a really good one, and it's depressing that it has not happened yet, and it probably will not happen until he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sad thing. Much like Roger Maris, right? The asterisk wasn't removed until several years after he had passed away, and it just was, yeah. And I think Pete Rose, as time goes on, yes, gambling is the original sin of baseball, but at the same time, it was not nearly as bad as the Black Sox scandal, and
yeah. It's not even comparable to the Black Sox scandal.
Yeah, I mean, and he is one of the greatest pure hitters of all time. Like, I mean, similar. I think similar to if you took away Wayne Gretzky's goals, he would still have the points record just on assists alone.
Yes.
If you took away Pete Rose's extra base hits, only had singles, he would still be in the top 10 all-time hits leaders for baseball. That's how far past he is second place. Like, or even the guys who ended up chasing him, he'd still have like 3,300 hits or something. Like, and that's just
not to mention what he did had nothing to do with his performance. Nothing.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and if it did, then it still doesn't make sense. Even if he did bet against his team, which he never did.
No.
Like, he still doesn't make sense because he just kept hitting.
Yeah. It just.
You know, when it comes to mine, Ray, you know, there's a lot of moments in sports that have affected people in the country. You know, it goes, like you said, you brought the Black Sox, Roger Maris. We talked about Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds, and you know, there's a lot of these types of scandals that kind of rocked us. But for me, the one that is above all of them on a national, even global scale, is Lance Armstrong. All right, What I'm saying here is this: I'm not saying that I wish he didn't get caught. I wish it wasn't true that he did what he did. Here's the deal. Okay, he was clearly doping. It's been well documented now. In fact, the USA is the ones that outed him. This is a man that built up such hope in cancer patients, cancer survivors, people that have suffered with cancer, lifted the whole country up. The whole country, even lifted up the United States Postal Service by default.
Yeah.
And we talked about Superman, gave us something to strive for. And here's the killer thing that punches you in the gut. The man really did recover from the worst bout of cancer we've ever seen. Brain, lung, everything.
Yeah, he had like a what,
comes
5%,
back
10% chance to live, like
just really like a no percent chance. Like they had to. It's just like it was very low. Comes back from that, wins 5 Tour de France's in a row, which is one of the hardest competitions on the planet. I implore all of you listening.
Yeah.
If you don't know what the Tour de France is and what these guys do, it's a 30-day bike race, and they go over 100 miles a day through the mountains of France. It is one of the hardest competitions in the world.
One of the
it's
true
actually
tests
like
of endurance.
and it's in Greg LeMond, who is actually the only American to have won it twice. I think he won 2 times in a row without doping.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying it makes sense why these guys dope, but it's one of those things of like the type of level it takes to do this thing. Like, it's not surprising that a lot of these athletes dope. But not only did Lance raise the hopes of everyone, literally becoming a Superman, live strong, everything he did, books, brought us all out of the darkness, only to find out that he ruined lives, ruined them to protect his secret. And he comes out, he's a multimillionaire because of this.
Yeah.
And everything that he stood for was bullshit.
It was a
Sorry,
sham.
I had to curse there.
It's okay.
All right, and then the fall from grace of not just him, not just all of his followers, but he almost destroyed his sport. I still can't watch the Tour de France because now you just don't know, and then you start looking back, and it's like how many of these champions have been vacated because of it.
Yeah,
and it just kept going. It was devastating to watch that. Like, and again. Sports will break your heart and lift you up, but man, that story, I remember. I was older when it broke, but it was painful. It tainted our country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it looked bad for everyone. All right, like when Mark McGwire and stuff came out, that didn't taint our country like this did.
Yeah.
It just tainted a sport.
Yeah.
So, you know, the only saving grace was, and this is sad, that everyone else was doping too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's just what it was. But, yeah, Lance Armstrong is I wish that it was real. I really mean that. I wish that his 5 wins were real, or 6 wins. I wish they would 7. I think it was 7. Was it 7?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, let's ask Siri. This will be funny. How many Tour de France's did Lance Armstrong win?
Here's what I found from infoplease.com.
7
Lance
times.
Armstrong
I was right.
7 times.
Tour de France and unprecedented
You're right. 7
times.
Listen.
From 1999 to 2005. Before being stripped of those same titles in 2012 after investigators concluded that he had used blood doping to win.
Thank you, Siri. Jesus. I mean, even Siri knows that he cheated. To give you an idea how thick this guy's blood was, they had to wake him up in the middle of the night to get on a bike and ride to thin his blood out because it would have clotted and he would have died.
Jesus.
Like that's how thick this dude's blood was. So just devastating. 7. I was saying 5. It's 7. 7 times in a row, and then he continued to race a few years after that. So,
yeah.
I wish that one hadn't been true. Like, because of the baseball, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, everyone was doing it. Kind of like, all right, it was what it was. They hitting home runs.
Yeah.
This was different.
Yeah. No, that's a good one too.
Boom, 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 boom. Whoa.
That is it. Yeah, that is so. Ending on a bit of a sour note today. But let us know below what you guys think. If you guys have one as well that you guys would like to have. If you could change history, if you could clean up the record books, let us know below which ones you would do. And that is the end of episode 62. Well, we had another good one, buddy. We're another one into
FanDome.
On that note,
FanDome.
we are gonna close the FanDome for tonight. Thank you all so much for listening to episode 62 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, be sure to join the Facebook group. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. Email us, Ray or Lee, at geekswholikesports.com. And be sure to listen to us wherever podcasts are heard. And for Lee, I am Ray. Thank you again for listening to episode 62. We will see you again next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.